Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is AshQuest, and this is Warhammer Underworlds Death Warbands Revenants of the Realms, a collection of 21 Citadel miniatures that make up 4 distinct previously released warbands from all across the various seasons of Underworlds that all belong to the Death Grand Alliance. To shorthand it, we've got Kainan's Reapers, or Skeletons, the Grymwatch, or Zombies, the Crimson Court, or the Cullens, and the Headsman's Curse, or a bunch of ghosts. Woo! Not gonna lie, this is one of the last boxes that I wanted to pick up because I was trying to save the best for last. The Undead and the Chaos Grand Alliance boxes I think are the coolest. These boxes are a great and much more accessible way of taking the old warbands from the ghosts of Underworld's past, some pun intended, and bringing them into the current edition to make them legal for tournament play and the like, and they even come with updated war scrolls and fighter cards, which you will see. Now, if you already have the miniatures, you can simply just download those, I think, and then just grab yourself a Universals deck or a Rivals or whatever and just play. This won't invalidate what you already have. So take a look at the back of the box for an alternate take on what you're getting: your ghosts, your vampires, your skeletons, and your zombies, and then we'll just give this box a little shake, just to freak out anybody who thought that I was actually storing the miniatures in here. I goofed you guys good. You should have seen the look on your face. This is actually everything that you get inside of a typical Grand Alliance box. The envelope that I've already opened up and taken the cards out of. I don't want to speak for all of the different kinds of Underworlds enjoyers out there, but I think the Grand Alliance boxes are an awesome way to collect warbands, even if you're not interested in necessarily playing Underworlds. You get all of the really difficult to obtain, unless you know which releases to go after and you wait for deals on the secondhand market, warbands collected together in one box. As of the time of this video, there are 8 of these Grand Alliance boxes. There were 2 different waves of releases, and the Grand Alliances themselves are Undead, Destruction, which represents all of your goblins and orcs and grots and trolls and ogres, Chaos, and Order. And Order's got all of your dwarves and elves and men, humans. Now, I say accessible because the secondhand warbands can be difficult to obtain in their single formats. And by difficult, I mean pricey. These boxes are MSRP like $100, but you will typically find them for 85 USD. That said, I try to wait for deals because 85 is even a bit difficult for me sometimes for 4 plastic warbands. The release format does make sense though, and I hope that they do another round of them because there are still a lot of warbands that are not as accessible if you're collecting Underworld's stuff like I am. You are going to get updated fighter cards. You'll have the normal version of your models as well as the inspired version on the opposite side. I'm not savvy enough to know if there were any mechanical changes made to any of these warbands. It really might just be a way to get the plastic out into the hands of more people, since the seasons during which these original warbands were released are over and have been over, and furthermore, it was a completely different edition anyway. I've been calling these war scrolls, and they describe a little bit of lore about each of the warbands in the box, as well as how to inspire your units, any special abilities your warband might have, and special abilities that you can spend glory points to use. These come in English, but they also come in Japanese, Chinese, Italian, Spanish, German, French, and this release method, this distribution, it must make perfect sense for international market because they keep doing it, so it must be cost effective to just throw all of the cards in one box instead of have different versions. And maybe that's just a Warhammer thing in general. But it is something that I've noticed. It does mean, for me, that when I open this box, I'm going to have a bunch of cards in other languages that I'm just not ever going to use. And so they'll either get trashed or they'll get given away or what have you. After I put my models together, I won't need the instructions anymore, so I can toss this. These guys are never coming back apart. Observations about the models. Everybody was really straightforward. Nobody was difficult to put together or anything like that. Usually there's 1 or 2 that are kind of confusing. In this case, there was one that kind of vexed me for a few minutes. It was this guy right here. He just had a really weird leg, and I had to perform some Olympic level hand athletics in order to take all of the pieces and hold them in such such a way where I could get that leg in there and then enclose the pieces. And it wasn't quite clear to me exactly what angle to have the leg at and exactly how those pieces were supposed to get it together. In fact, a lot of the pieces on the sprue, and please share down below if you have had the same experience, I've looked at and I've said there's no way that actually sandwiches between these other two pieces. But it does. Once you get everything together, they fit together. They are not going to accidentally come back apart. A lot of folks recommend glue. And yeah, some of these pieces I would use glue, and I have used glue on some of them, because I'll put the piece in, it'll go in a little too easy, and I'm like, well, does it come out just as easy? And if it does, it's glue time. But the rest of this video is just going to be this camera taking a little dive down and looking at all these guys up close, and we're going to look at these cards, and we're going to talk about the lore of each of the warbands before we sign off for the day. So I hope you enjoy. Let's start with the Headsman's Curse. It is said that long ago, the blade Terminus was fashioned by Nagash. It possesses an ominous sentience, reshaping damned souls into preordained roles in a grisly pageant of judgment. Always there is a scripter of the sentence, a sharpener of the blade, a bearer of the block, and a wielder of the blade, for the punishment is always death. To inspire the Headsman's Curse, after an action step, if damage was inflicted on any condemned enemy fighters by a friendly fighter's attack, inspire that friendly fighter. Condemnation is going to be explained now. Trial and execution. The Headsman's Curse seek out mortals to condemn to eternal punishment. At the start of your first action step in each battle round, you can pick an enemy fighter within 5 hexes of a friendly scripter of the sentence to be condemned for that battle round. After a condemned enemy fighter is slain, you can draw a number of power cards equal to that fighter's bounty characteristic. That's interesting. Again, somebody will have to let me know if this has always been the case for this warband, if this was the original rule set for when that warband was released, or if this is new for this edition, this distribution of the warbands in this collection. The Headsman Curse have Eternal Duty, Wet the Blade, Discorporate, and Cackling Court as abilities. And here he is, the wielder of the blade. I put this guy together after putting together the sharpener of the blade, and I just had to laugh. There's such a size difference, and I find it very funny that the blade in question here is huge, but the blade that this guy is sharpening, which it only makes sense if it's the same blade, right? Or is he just sharpening a blade in general? It's not the same blade though. Like, the wielder of the blade is sharpening an enormous blade, or wielding an enormous blade, as is his namesake. It's humongous. It's bigger than entire other warband models. It's a really cool miniature and one to fear on your battlefield. Here is the card, and here is the card inspired. My goodness, I'm already missing the old style where the inspire was right on the card itself. When did that stop? Probably early on, right? You got the sharpener of the blade here. That's what he's doing. He's sharpening the blade. He's got his whetstone attached to a chain. It's eternal sharpening torment. Torment for you. This guy loves sharpening the blade. He's always sharpening his blade, day in and day out. I heard him sharpening his blade, and I didn't even think he had a sword with him. Watch out when the sharpener of the blade becomes inspired to sharpen his blade even harder. The scriptor of the sentence is an important model for this warband, and here he is, scripting out the sentence. He's like the zombie court reporter, the ghoul, the ghost. I don't know what these guys are supposed to be classified as, man. I just know that they float. But I do think that this scroll looks really epic. This is a really cool sculpt. All of these guys look so cool. The bearer of the block has a very important job. He's got to lug this dang block around. This is the block on which the opponents become headless, in which they become executed. It's the executioner's block. I think the candles on this guy are really cool. This guy did confuse me a little bit when I was putting him together. I really wasn't quite sure if he was supposed to lean like that, but nope, that's him. That was intentional. Kainan's Reapers are composed of Kainan himself, Kenta, Senha, Karu, Nohem, and Hakor. And I'm not quite certain if there's supposed to be a regional influence. Let me know if you recognize one. Mir Kainan is charged with securing the Bone Tithe, the grisly tax that the Osiarch Empire enforces upon mortals, along with his herald, Bainar Kenta, and their Mortek retinue, Keru, Senna, Hakor, and the Archer Nohem. The Mortisan Executioner scours the realms for sources of bone, employing strategic prowess and necromantic might to grind impediments to dust and flinders. That's a new word for me. I've never heard the word flinders before. And here they are, the Osiarch Bone Reapers themselves. I really like this warband, and I really like the skeletons of Underworlds in general. I think that they're really cool. If this is in any way, shape, or form related to Tomb Kings, which I think is probably a different faction under the skeleton umbrella, then yeah, they're really cool. I'm just a fan of all things skeletal. I happen to have a skeleton of my own, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I've had one my whole life. Kenta here, however, is really cool, and that's just a word that I'm going to overuse, and I'm gonna have to deal with that. I've run out of lexicon. He's awesome. He's bodacious. Oh, you know what? He's bonedacious. And this is the part where people generally start clicking off the video. I like him a lot. But this dude has nothing on Kainan himself. This person, malevolent force to be reckoned with, he's incredible. Do they need the sources of the bone so that they can add more bone to themselves? Are they just trying to become more bone? That may be the case, because this guy looks to have a tail, a bit of a spine extension there. Not sure if the weapons are also being made of bone. I think that would be very ineffective, but he's pretty awesome. He's kind of a badass. Generally speaking, the larger the amount of fighters in a warband, the more fiddly they might be, because you're going to have a lot of weaklings and then maybe like one or two really powerful ones. It's only fair, because some of these warbands are quite small. I think they come as small as 3. Actually, yeah, that's pretty common. There are a lot of Stormcast Eternal warbands, just like 3. The Grymwatch is kind of set up the same way. Duke Crackmarrow and his kin are cannibal ghouls trapped by delusion. They see the world as a chivalric fantasy while performing blood-curdling deeds. Guided by Valric the Tracker and the winged harriers of Master Talon, the Duke and his champions, Gristlewell and the skull-masked Knight's Herald, pounce on the foe, while the Royal Butcher prepares the victory feast. Here are the Inspire and Special abilities. There's a resurrection mechanic here. If your leader is on the battlefield, you could use one of the following abilities. Pick a friendly fighter, inspire that fighter. Or pick a slain friendly fighter, raise them, and place them in an empty hedge X. If you are the underdog, you can use both abilities instead. At the start of each battle round, you can pick one of the following delusions to apply for that battle round. Each delusion can only be picked once per game. Defenders of the Realm, the Royal Hunt, or To the Walls. Wow. I didn't know that was going to be the lore for these guys, but that's kind of hilarious. 7 units. This is Gristlewell. He's actually pretty weak as far as sculpts go. He does not cut an imposing figure. This is Crackmarrow. He's a bit more important looking. I like him, actually. Maybe Crackmarrow is the Dracula and Gristlewell is kind of the Renfield, so to speak. The Duke's Harriers are just really cool bat sculpts that can also be inspired. The bats are delusional. They think we're heroes. The Knight's Herald inspired. Master Talon inspired. The Royal Butcher inspired. And Valric, and we're going to stop showing the inspired sides of the cards because it's just going to mean one of the stats increases by 1 or some nonsense because the Inspire is no longer on the cards. You'll have to forgive me, I don't really have a format for these videos. I'm trying to make them all as different as possible anyway. Here are all of those zombies we just got done looking at in no particular order. Spinning around on the chaotic spinner of doom. Yes, very gross, very grotesque, and very tiny. I mean, just look at the size difference here. Standing a bit taller than his brethren is the Duke. This is the Duke. Crackmarrow himself. Why is it always an axe? What does the axe symbolize? The game is not called War Axe, it's called Warhammer, and there are so few hammers to be had. Definitely a gross sculpt. These guys could probably have some really wicked paint schemes. For no reason, I saved the bats for last. I happen to like the bats. That was a huge model. It was kind of a save the biggest model for last situation, but the bats aren't really particularly strong. It's just that their model is kind of big. Here they are seen dragging a part of a corpse that is not one of the Grymwatch. Unless it could be. Former Grymwatch member. He wasn't grim enough. Our vampire retinue is the final. Prince Duval and his Crimson Court, hulking Gorath the Enforcer, Swordstress, Velas von Fane, and Bestyle Ennius Curseborn epitomize the dark majesty of vampires. They see themselves as a hunting party, each competing to make the most spectacular kills. Yet, like all their kind, they are burdened by the beast within, making a lie of nobility and demanding they gorge on blood. The Crimson Court has the following Inspire rule as well as the following special special ability, Savage Bloodthirst. You gain hunger tokens, but I have no hunger tokens to gain. We have 4 abilities prefaced by 2 different symbols, one symbol for the top 3, one symbol for the bottom. As for the vampires themselves, we do have them here: Ennius, Velas, Gorath, and Duval, the Prince. And a few different archetypes here with this warband I see. We have a guy who has wings flailing out and some hair just going wild. It's not a warhammer, but I'll take it. It's a mace. These guys are tall, man. They are, though. They are very tall. Do vampires just continue to grow, get taller? This is the massive Gorath. He's pretty cool. He's kind of the lurch of this whole outfit. Yeah, he's the one answering the doorbell. He's not the tallest one. I think the text said he was monstrous, or just doesn't matter. He's actually not, like, unless the 2 of them are just tall together. Ennius is not standing at his full height. But finally, Prince Duval, who is maybe a few inches in their scale shorter. Why don't you focus? I know you're a vampire. That should only apply to mirrors. There we go. That's Duval. Very cool. Very, very cool. Would definitely work as some kind of boss sculpt if we weren't playing Underworlds. And even, I mean, he is technically the boss of these guys. So if we are playing Underworlds, then he's a boss sculpt. His sculpt is also pretty boss in general. I like it. I like it a lot. His forearm here was something that I chose to glue in place for reasons aforementioned. And that is the Crimson Court and the final warband of Revenants of the Realms. Brave heroes, thank you so much for your kind attention. I hope to see you in the next exciting adventure. Don't worry, there will be a Will They Hero Quest video very soon about these guys. But for now, I bid you a fantastic rest of your day, and I spur you ever onward.